Let me start with a bold statement. Most revenue success plans fail not because they're a bad idea, but because no one actually uses them. And if you have ever spent hours building a beautiful success plan only for it to disappear into a shared drive or get pulled out once a year before a renewal, well, this episode is for you. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Anika Zubair, and welcome to the Customer Success Pro podcast, your go-to space for real talk, expert advice, and actionable insights in the world of customer success. I'm a CS executive leader, award-winning strategist, CS coach, and customer success fanatic. I help CSMs and CS leaders build the skills and the confidence to become revenue-driving pros and scale world-class CS teams. So whether you're brand new to CS or a seasoned leader, this podcast is here to support your growth. Because customer success isn't a destination, it's a journey. And I'm here to be your guide and navigate every step of your journey. So join me every Wednesday where you'll get fresh CS tips, tricks, and strategies you can actually use. Some weeks I'll share my own insights and best practices from working in CS over the last 13 years. And once a month, I'll bring on expert guests to dive into the most relevant and pressing topics in customer success today. So if you're ready to level up, hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in, and let's make your CS journey a little bit easier together. Today, I want to talk to you about how to build a revenue success plan with your customer that your customer actually uses. Not just a document that you create, but a tool that you use to run your entire customer relationship from start to renewal. Now, this is one of the most important skills in modern customer success, and it's honestly the best tool a modern CSM can have. And it's exactly why I teach this as a full module inside of RevUp Academy with a plug and play template as well, and some real examples on how to use it across the customer journey. So I want to break it down for you in this podcast today. Right now, every SaaS company is talking about efficiency. If you work in technology or in SaaS, I'm pretty sure every single one of your team or company meetings is talking about how you can be more efficient, right? Do more with less, protect retention, drive expansion without adding more headcount. And the data point that most teams end up missing is, according to multiple SaaS benchmarks, expansion and renewals are won or lost months. Let me say that again, months before the commercial conversation even starts. Not at the renewal, not at the pricing email, not even in the final call. They are decided based on whether a customer sees progress towards their outcomes that they cared about when they first bought your product and service. And this is where revenue success plans come in and where they can be so valuable to anyone in customer success. Because in theory or in reality, most plans are static documents built for internal optics, and they're not really living and breathing, and they're not really living tools built for customers. Basically, what ends up happening, or the problem that I keep seeing happen time and time again, is that customer success managers are told to own revenue or be more strategic or drive net revenue retention or make sure upsells close. But no one ends up teaching anyone in customer success how to structure value in a way that customers can actually follow. So what ends up happening then? Well, success plans end up being a feature checklist or vague goals like increase adoption or improve efficiency or drive ROI. It's not really measurable and nothing is anchored in. Nothing actually ends up creating any sort of momentum for your customer. And when that value is super vague, revenue feels super awkward. And that is where we find ourselves in customer success in 2026. Revenue ends up being this weird, awkward conversation. And then because we cannot articulate it correctly, it ends up feeling very awkward when we end up having a renewal conversation. And revenue only feels hard because the plan is not doing the actual heavy lifting. So let's talk about all of the success plans and how we're probably doing them wrong, because there's tons of different ways that I have done success plans throughout my career that honestly, looking back at it all, it's been so wrong. So let me share some of the mistakes I've made when I first started building out success plans. And the first mistake is that I built a plan that was built once and never revisited. I remember in one of my first leadership roles, I started building out so many success plans. I was like, perfect. I'm going to build out this beautiful project plan in Excel, of course, because who doesn't love a good spreadsheet? And I built out this Excel spreadsheet for every single one of my customers, copy, paste, used it for every account. And I basically built out the most perfect onboarding checklist plus plan of what they're going to do in the second quarter of using us and then what they're going to do after certain team members adopted the product. I really thought that this plan was perfect, but what I did is I built it once. I literally copied and pasted that spreadsheet to every single one of my customers, and I shared it, I think in our first kickoff call or even maybe like during onboarding, but I never ever used it again. And that's a big no-no. And if anything I've learned in my career, just don't build it to use it once. It needs to be revisited. So if you are building success plans, don't just build it for it to sit on the shelf. I need you to use it in every moment of a customer journey. Like a success plan can show up in onboarding and it can show up in renewals. But what ends up happening and what I ended up doing is I used it in a kickoff or I used it in onboarding. And then it disappeared. It ended up in my Google Drive and it just died there until renewal came. And then I was panicking and preparing for a renewal and just freaking out about exactly how to use that success plan in a renewal conversation. But again, it's because it sat on the shelf that it was completely useless to me. And then another mistake that I'm going to call out, and I feel really like I'm exposing myself here. So if you are listening to this podcast, please feel free to send me some love because I'm really exposing all the mistakes I made when I first started building success plans. But the second mistake that I ended up making is that I ended up writing success plans in my own language. And what I mean by that is in the company language. So the talk of our product or the talk of our features. And I didn't actually write the success plan in my customer's language. Okay. So I started to measure things in the success plan like internal metrics or product terminology. And I started using acronyms that honestly only like my product managers and my support managers would know. Like there was no connection to how the customer's business actually wins in the success plan. I only really talked about our product and service and our internal metrics or our internal acronyms because I assumed that the customer would understand that if I just laid it out in a pretty plan. But again, the success plan just lived and died very quickly because this customer didn't understand it and because it wasn't in the customer language. Quick pause from our podcast. This is for all my CS leaders out there. So if you are a CS leader, listen up. Most teams talk about goals, but very few teams track progress against them. And even fewer can clearly show ROI when it actually matters. This is exactly where renewals start to feel heavy and awkward. And this is why I run workshops around value and ROI, customer goals, success plans, and of course, delivering value realization. And these sessions, they're designed to help customer success teams move from vague goals to clear outcomes. We work through how to identify customer goals that actually matter and turn them into living success plans and track progress in a way that makes ROI visible to your customers and their executives. There's no fluffy frameworks, no theories that live in a deck, and there's not a deck that never gets used. Your team leaves with practical and tactical tools that they can apply immediately across onboarding, business reviews, renewals, and value is never a surprise. If you are planning a team training, an offsite, or an enablement session, and you want your team to confidently prove impact and be able to commercially lead a conversation, you can learn more about our workshops at thecustomersuccesspro.com/team-event. That's the customersuccesspro.com/team-event, or check out the link in the show notes of this episode. All right, let's get back into the podcast episode. All right, another mistake that I ended up making when I was building out my first success plans is I tracked activity. And I know I talk on this podcast about not tracking activity, but tracking your impact or your progress. But I am super guilty of this. In my early success plans, I would track activity and I would basically track, okay, we did this week, or you integrated with this tool, or you built this dashboard. And all of that was great, but I wasn't actually tracking progress. And I wasn't actually tracking how the product was helping my customer's business. Instead, I started saying, okay, well, you've completed X number of trainings in the first month of using our product, or you've launched this many features within our software, or you've onboarded this many users of our software. Or the worst was when I started to talk about how many meetings we held or how many QBRs we ran. I even put QBRs in a success plan. Please, please don't do that if you are doing it. But hey, I'm being honest here. And that's exactly what I put in some of my early success plans about 11 years ago now. But all of these things at the time was just counting for activity. None of these things actually ended up equaling value. And that is where a success plan, again, ends to die because they aren't value driven. And then another mistake that I made, and this one's a good one when I was building out success plans, is I didn't actually involve my customer when I created the success plan. And it's not because I didn't know it was important to work with a customer. I thought I was being super, super helpful by creating a success plan on behalf of my customer. And I get it. Your customers are busy and they're not going to want to sit through an hour brainstorming call to really build a success plan with you. But what I did is I built a finished success plan. I almost made so many assumptions of exactly how their business worked, exactly how they were going to use my product and service, and I built it for them. But the thing is, if your customers, if they don't actually help define the success, they are never going to actually feel like that is their success plan and that they truly own what's going to happen next. All right, now that I've exposed all of the ways that I have incorrectly built success plans in the past, I want to actually talk about what works and what I coach people on today that actually drives success plans forward. And as you already heard from the title of this podcast, I have been calling it revenue success plans, not just success plans, which, by the way, you can adopt that name if you want, if you really want to, but it's more the understanding of where this plan is headed rather than just saying it's a success plan. Because again, I think the terminology of success plan, it makes us think of successful activities or things that we have done. But as you know, every business, whether small, big, or in between, every B2B SaaS business or company that you work with, they are trying to, at the end of the day, sell their product and grow revenue, right? Even your own business, the business that you work at, the company that you are currently a customer success professional at, that company is trying to sell a product and they are trying to grow revenue. And the reason why I started working with my team and all the teams that I've worked with over the years, and I started calling it a revenue success plan, because it starts to make this shift. It starts to make everyone realize that we are here for business outcomes, not for just successful tasks done, but for actually the revenue that is going to be generated off of the work that we are doing together to launch our product and service within your company. So you can already tell that there's a major shift, right? There's a big difference between a success plan and a revenue success plan. And a revenue success plan, just to be super, super clear, is not a document, okay? It is a shared operating system between you and your client. And it has three core elements, right? The first part of a successful revenue success plan is clear business outcomes, not what the customer wants to do, but what they want to achieve. So if you were to ask your champion or your stakeholder, what does success look like within your business this quarter or this year? That is what they're trying to achieve, not what they want to do, but what they want to achieve. And then the success plan is also going to cover revenue growth, cost reduction, time saving, risk, reducing speed to market, all of that is going to be covered because that is what they want to achieve. You want to make sure that the first clear thing that you're trying to outline in the success plan is a business outcome. And it can be so many different things, but it has to be tied to their business. Again, it could be revenue growth, or maybe it could be time saved, or maybe it could be expanding into a new market. It really doesn't matter as long as it's a business outcome, not product usage. All right. The second pillar or part of a very successful success plan is making sure that the metrics you are measuring, they are showing forward movement. Now, listen, I know that every week or every month, every single thing on your success plan is not perfect. And there's no perfect directional proof that shows that, okay, if you use our product every single week, then you're going to have a compounding effect and you're going to end up getting these results, right? Like, I don't expect a success plan to constantly just show up and to the right. Like, it's not going to be this perfect linear graph. But what it is going to show is directional proof. So what will look different in 30, 60, 90 days? And finally, the third thing that I want to make sure that you're covering in your success plan is that you're running a narrative of progress. So, what have you moved forward? What are the blockers? What's at risk? This is what makes revenue conversations feel natural because you are talking about it regularly throughout the entire customer journey as you use this success plan. Because the plan does the selling, and I say selling in quotes, because the plan does the selling for you, okay? This is the part that most teams end up missing. If your plan is set up correctly, if you're showing directional growth and actual adoption and value received and value realized, your plan will actually make upsells and renewals happen for you naturally. But what ends up happening is teams just end up keeping it and using it as like a document and not actually a plan that moves them forward. And the plan is it's not just for renewals, by the way. You can use it everywhere. You probably heard me say it already throughout this podcast. Like, I have used success plans in onboarding because it sets the expectation. It really ends up opening up the conversation with your customer and making sure that partnership is set from day one. And this will actually define how success looks like for your relationship moving forward with that customer. But I also use it like in adoption, like as your customer starts to use your product and service, if you are using a success plan, it starts to really anchor in priorities because your customer as they start to use more of your product and service, they get excited and they're like, "Oh no, but we want to do this and we want to do this and actually maybe we can change this around." And the thing is, when you have a success plan, it clearly highlights priorities. And if your customer is going right, left, center, everywhere in between saying, "We want to do everything with your product," which sounds great, but then you have to ask, "Hey, let's come back to the success plan that we built. Are these still priorities? Because we need to focus here to make sure you achieve the goals that we outlined from day one." And that is what matters most right now because customers are going to always pull you in every single direction. It's normal, right? But the thing is if you are able to keep them grounded and keep them directionally focused on what they're trying to achieve for their business while using your product and service, honestly, again, a renewal is a no-brainer when you start to use a success plan correctly. And then another way I absolutely love using success plans is in quarterly business reviews, executive business reviews, or whatever, the formal business reviews that you end up having with your customers because it ends up creating a very strong story. And you might have listened to one of my previous podcasts where I talked about how storytelling is the absolute key tool to success as a customer success professional because everything we do is storytelling to a customer. And when you have a very well thought out and very well measured revenue success plan and you use it in a business review, it actually tells such a strong story of where a customer was before they used your product, where they started at and how they started using it, and all the growth and value that they've seen over time when using your product. Because again, it's something that's been measured over time and showcased as a beautiful story of value. And When we used it back when I was using it in quarterly business reviews, we would say exactly what a customer achieved from day 1 to day 30 to 60, day 60 to 90. Like we would really outline exactly how their business was able to move forward because of our product and service. And then, of course, we would highlight what is next as well because there was still more to do on the plan. And one other way that I absolutely love using this, and this might not work for everyone because I know not everyone in customer success has expansion or upsells as part of their remit. But when I was working as a CSM and all the teams that I did run, expansion was part of customer success. And any sort of success plan is the best way to make an expansion conversation easy. And I mean that. I truly mean that because in an expansion conversation, a revenue success plan, it's almost like logical. Like it just shows that if this outcome matters to your business and this blocker exists, then this is the solution that makes sense for you. It's almost like 2 plus 2 equals 4. Like that is what a great success plan can actually build out for your upsells. And I just love using success plans in upsell conversations because it's like a value map. Maybe that's what we should actually rename it. I'm just thinking like, let's not even call it revenue success plans. Let's call them value maps, maybe. Anyways, revenue success plan, value map, whatever you want to call it ends up really doing the work for you. And inside of RevUp Academy, I teach this as a full end-to-end system, including how to adapt the same plan as a customer matures. So it evolves with them instead of being rebuilt every year. And that is something that is so powerful that I hope that if you are listening, know that a success plan lasts throughout the entire journey that a customer is with you. So even if you have a customer for 3 plus years, a success plan is still extremely valuable to that customer. All right, let's get to my favorite part of a weekly solo episode, which is the weekly challenge. And you guys all know I am a tactical and practical coach. And if you are giving me your time every week as a busy customer success professional, I want to make sure I leave you with something that you can go do today to move the needle forward with your accounts. So, here is your challenge for this week. I want you to take one customer and I want you to either open their success plan that you've already built or create one if it doesn't actually exist. And I want you to answer this question. Could my customer explain in one sentence what success looks like with us? If the answer is no, that's your starting point. Rewrite the plan in their language, review it with them, and use it in your next call. All right, that is your challenge. Go take it on. If you do take on this challenge, I would love to hear from you. Feel free to shoot me an email or send me a message on LinkedIn and let me know how the weekly challenge went down with your customer. All right, we covered a lot in today's episode, so let me just quickly recap. I just want to remind you that a revenue success plan only works if it is co-created and outcome focused and is used throughout the entire customer journey. And it's not a renewal tool. It's actually a relationship tool. And this entire framework, including plug and play templates, real examples of how to actually run this with customers, is something I teach in depth inside of RevUp Academy. So if you want to stop winging your revenue conversations and start leading them with confidence, then this is where the work comes together. And if this episode helped you and you want to work together a little bit deeper, then RevUp Academy might be right for you. And you can check it out with the links in the show note and join our VIP waitlist for the next time we actually open doors for the next cohort. Now, if this episode helped you, do you mind just sharing it with your CS bestie? Sharing is caring, and it really helps the show grow, and it really helps everyone discover the show if you do share it with someone that you think would resonate with this episode. And if you are subscribed, do you mind leaving a review or a comment down below? It takes a lot of energy to create every single one of these podcast episodes. And I absolutely love, love, love it when every single one of my listeners either message me, rate the show, or leave me a comment down below. I absolutely appreciate every single one of you. And remember, share this with another CSM who's tired of building success plans that no one uses. Anyways, I will see you in the next episode next week. Thanks for tuning in to the Customer Success Pro podcast. I hope you picked up something valuable to take back to your team. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to me if you took just 10 seconds to leave a review on Apple or Spotify. It helps more CS pros like yourself discover the show. And creating new episodes takes a lot of work, so leaving a nice review keeps me motivated to keep creating. And don't forget to hit subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcast episodes. I drop a new episode every Wednesday packed with practical tips. And if you've got a topic you'd love for me to cover or want to be a guest on my show, send me a message. All the details are in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. And hey, if this episode helped you, share it with a fellow CSM or CS leader. Remember, sharing is caring. Cheers to your CS journey, and I'll catch you next week for our next episode.